Hello everyone. Today on Gamer Talk, I want to talk about why Marvel Avengers sucked so bad and why was it such a major flop. And no one really talks about it. No one really wants to really get into why the game was so bad. Like a lot of people stopped playing. Like 98% of this player base is gone now. You can barely get any games with people. You gotta get it with AI and stuff. And I want to talk about that. But I also want to talk about a key point a lot of people did not talk about, and it's the story. I want to really talk about the story and mechanics that they should have did with this Marvel game and would have made it succeed, even if the combat was bad, which I will talk about that. And a lot of the mechanics and everything like that, why they were so bad. I'm going to be talking about that a lot. So let's get into the first topic. Now, the story, I'm not gonna lie, it had its moments where it was pretty interesting, but from the beginning and the middle and the end, it was just not it. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I did not play it. I did watch it. I could not play it. It was just that bad for me, okay? I watched it before they're making this video so I can get an understanding. But real quick, I want to first talk about now. Hold on. Just listen now. I know a lot of you might be like, Rockiet, you're in a little touchy situation or touchy subject right here. I'm not trying to be racist, but to really show a character like Kamala Khan, right, or whatever, she is a character no one really knows about, unless you read the comics or maybe if you watch some cartoons or whatever. But a lot of people do not know of her because she's not in a movie yet. Yes, she will be in a TV show and featured in a movie soon, but she's not in it yet. So that's already a disadvantage. I'm not gonna lie, it's a major disadvantage because of that. Now, if she was in a movie, this would be probably a little bit better, but she's not, and that's a problem. So they definitely should have went with a character that were in a movie. And I understand. Yes, the Avengers, I know. But what I'm saying here is, they should have really focused more on Iron Man, Captain America, and like the first of main Avengers. That's what they should have focused on. That's what their whole part should have been. The 6 main Avengers from the very first movie. Which, we're going to get to that in a second, okay? Before we get into the main dialogue and conversation of the characters. I disagree with the setup in 2020 of having games where it's a 4-player co-op at this point. We are past 2020 now, and if you're offering a 4 players or 4-player matchups, you're doing something wrong. That is out of date. Back in the day, co-op used to be fun. 2 people, your friend in your room, the both of you playing a game together. That used to be the thing, but that's not it anymore. It's 4 players, right? And that's not the thing anymore as well. You need to at least have 6 or more players at this point in time. I would say more than 4, so 5, 6, but not 4 exactly. 4 is a good number for servers, yes, but at this point in time, a lot of people don't have just 4 friends. Now, some might have less, sadly, but it opens up more for finding new people. And if you do already have a group, this is a great way to, have you all together. Having 6 players, especially in a Marvel game like this, Avengers, where you have your Captain America, you have your Iron Man, you have your Black Widow, you have your Hawkeye, Thor, Hulk, you have all of them. And that's how this game should have been. 6 players. The beginning 6 Avengers in the beginning of the movie, right? First Avengers movie. That's how it should have been from the start of the game. Before I get into the storyline, the main part, just hold on. I'm gonna get there in a minute. But I want to talk about how they should have had the layout for the content value and really just story wise of the game. They should have 100% had it the way out. That was a game where it's 2 players co-op, and you're both trying to break out of prison. Okay, and then you come into finding out more part of a story and a bigger plot, and a lot more happens. I'm not gonna really spoil it if you haven't ever checked it out, but what it is it's this co-op game where you and your friend or random can play together and have like a split screen. Now, take the split screen part out, but have it where it's 6 players. Six, it could be randoms, it could be your friends, whatever. But the 6 of you are playing each Avenger as you choose, right? You guys decide on who you want to be, who you prefer more, who thinks to be what, right? You decide on this, and you're that player. You are that player. That's who you're stuck as. If I chose Iron Man, I'm playing Iron Man through the whole game. If I chose Cap, even if Cap is bad in the game, I chose him. I gotta live with it. I gotta live with my choice, and that's how it should be. And that's what I'm saying. It should have been like that, where it's 6 players, and when you're at the table and you're talking and you're deciding stuff for the team and things, and for each individual, you have dialogue. What I'm getting at here is having it where the game has multiple choices for it. It's been proven where games that have multiple choices, a lot more people want to play them, but they don't last as long because some people have the concept of, well, I finished the game, yeah, there's multiple options, yeah, I could have chosen a different path, but I finished it, so I don't want to play it again. But it depends on what happens in the story. Let me explain. Let me help you understand. If a game has the game is supposed to last for let's say 48 hours, right? The game long, you play the game all the way through, it's supposed to last 48 hours. But because of your choices in the game, it cuts it down from being 48 hours long gameplay to now being 18 hours. That's a huge jump in time. There's a lot of content you have lost. And if you get that scenario, that makes you dang, that ended really quickly. Maybe let's play again. Now you're playing it again. That's twice you have played the same game. That's more people, watching the game or on your game, trying to discover new possibilities and new things happening. Especially if it's a possibility where you're fighting other heroes. Let's say, for an example, out of your choices, let's say you chose to be more hostile towards your teammates. Let's say you're playing, Hulk. Instead of trying to play like the Banners and try to gain control and control the Hulk and not be the Hulk as much, you just feed into it, and you're always being hostile and angry and losing control, and forces it where your other teammates don't want to have you on the mission, and you guys fall out. Now it's a fight between Hulk and the other Avengers. Situations like that would be amazing to see. It changes the story drastically. It's something you would never see. It's more or less you would have it where things you wouldn't see in the movie, you can make it happen here. And that is an amazing possibility for anybody, any fan of the Marvel Universe. That's a huge accomplishment and a huge thing. Especially if you start adding more heroes to the roster. That pushes it even further. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's not get into all that yet. Let's start talking about the story here, okay? This is the main actual part. You play Kamala Khan, which is okay. I understand, it's an okay character, but like I said, a lot of people don't know her yet. Until they know her, then it feels a lot more better and seems different, right? It has more of a vibe. But whatever. It was a nice attempt and a nice, thing to see. But like I said, it should have been somebody else, maybe some more, maybe even Captain Marvel, not Miss Marvel. It just shouldn't have been not that. I feel like we just don't know her yet. She has not hit the Marvel Universe yet. Most people know her from the comics and nothing else. And that is not, no. That's not enough. That's not enough to really fuel that. Especially because people look at, when they hear you're playing Kamala Khan for the main majority of the game, a lot of people have a problem with that. And that's what I feel like, and that's what I'm saying here. But besides that, 100% bad writing on the studio is killing off a main character. They immediately killed off Captain America in the first 30 minutes of your game. Now, yes, I know Captain America does come back. I understand that. I know that he does come back, and you'll be able to play him later on in the game. Cool, but you killed him off. That's bad. Killing off a really popular character in the beginning of your game is never the play. especially with a franchise like this, and with people know the character. Now, if you kill off the main character and we don't know, like you give us like a little backstory, a little character, story, fine, and then you transfer it over to another person. Like for example, let's say like The Last of Us, even though that was a bad idea, but like with Joel, you played as Joel in the first game. Second game, you played as Ellie. Okay, a lot of people didn't have too much of an issue with that. They remember Ellie, they remember her, they liked it. But some parts where you like, let's say where you played as Abby, a lot of people didn't vibe with that. Let me play as Ellie the whole game through, not play as somebody else, especially someone that killed the person I love. That it just doesn't. No one resonated with that. No one did, and that's what I'm saying here. Killing off a main character if everyone knows, and then like kind of playing somebody you don't really care or don't even know, is not the play. And that was what they did with Marvel Avengers. No one knows Ms. Marvel like that. And then you kill off Captain America. Now if you kill off maybe Black Widow, fine. That's a little bit reasonable. It was not too bad. If you killed off Hawkeye, not too bad. But Captain America, that's like killing Iron Man off in the beginning of your game. That's not the play. You don't kill off the main four. Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, or Thor. You just don't kill the main four. Now maybe the six, the 5 and 6 maybe, yeah. But not the main four. You don't do that. And that's why, like I said, that's a bad writing there. But besides that, we're gonna talk about some other parts. Let's get to those. Okay, now I want to talk about the maps. Now this is a very light topic. I want to just touch on this because I feel like this was a major lack on their part as well. The maps was something that it should have definitely been worked on. What I mean by this, a lot of the maps feel very dry. There's like no like major civilians. You have people that are affected, with powers and stuff, and you rescue them, but there's no civilians. You really don't see any major civilians on the ground. You don't really see none of that going on. You just see, the enemies. That's all you see. And everyone's in the house, like so conveniently in the house or not around. That's so lame. That's not real. Doesn't feel it. It doesn't feel like a Marvel game. It doesn't feel like that, and that's why I feel like as well they lacked in that department. Definitely, they should have had the environment more lively. Let's say like there should be some people cheering or some people booing. There should have been people all around. Some people having mixed emotions. You should have saw that. You should see people in their house. You should see all kinds of different things. You should even see police. That's definitely what you should see involving like Captain America is police. Or shield agent. A lot more shield agents. We should have saw a lot more shield agents in certain missions as well. It just felt so lacking of, the AI and stuff like that. I'm not saying, it needed all AI, or it needed to be like a crazy, like vast world where it's just a ton of crowds, a ton of people, like Cyberpunk, but it needed something. It needed to be a little bit more lively. And a lot of the maps are like in the dark or just like secluded areas, or if it's in the city, it's dark. Nobody's around. It's so weird. Especially a lot of the map didn't sit well for characters. Let me explain. Let me help you explain. Like Hulk. Hulk is always jumping. He's jumping on the buildings. He's jumping from building to building. He's like a monkey, he's just going crazy. He's running through buildings. He's on top of buildings. He's jumping. Each jump, he gets higher and higher. He goes farther and farther. He's doing some crazy stuff. He's slamming. A lot of rocks is coming up. A lot of earth. A lot of everything. Thor, he's flying really fast. He's high up. You're not really high up. I just don't feel like I'm high enough in the sky when I'm playing Thor. I just don't feel it. Especially as Iron Man. Iron Man's always more or less in the sky. He's always like doing that surveillance. He's always over everybody and seeing what's going on, and he's telling you like where's the stuff happening at. That's what he most does a lot of the time. Like yes, he's in the fight, but he's also scouting, and I don't feel like I'm high enough in the air as Iron Man scouting. That's a problem. And like Captain America, yeah, you're running. That's cool to run. Like, Captain America did do a lot of running, but he had a motorcycle, okay? He had a motorcycle. Black Widow had a motorcycle. Like these people had things to move. They moved around somehow, some way, right? And that's why I feel like they just did not do that. They just didn't have that at all. They just said, nah, they don't need that. Let's forget that, right? And it's like, what were you guys thinking on that? That's not feeling realistic to the characters itself. And a lot of the movements don't feel like that as well. But we're gonna get to that in a minute. Next topic. All of the characters feel not right. They don't feel like they should. Like even the villains feel off. Like let me help you understand what I mean. And when you watch Avengers and the movies, and I'm really gonna get into like the comic books or really anything like that, but I want to talk about the movies, right? If you really watch the movies, you don't see all of the Avengers. Like you don't see all 5 or 6 on one person fighting one enemy. You see them spread out doing multiple things. You might see Iron Man, maybe Thor, maybe even Hulk in the fight, being up the main villain. Or you might find, Cap in the fight or whatever. But you see a lot of people scattered around fighting like the minions, like the side like villains or whatever, like the henchmen or whatever, or they helping civilians. That's what you see a lot of them doing in a fight with the boss, maybe involved. But in this game, it just doesn't feel that at all. Like even the characters feel off. Like for example, like Taskmaster. Taskmaster is extremely tall. Like he is taller than Captain America, Thor. Like he stands about like Hulk height, and maybe a little taller than Hulk, and it's ridiculous. And he's beefy. He can do like he's crazy strong. And I feel like that's just not right. Now I'm not saying all the characters have to be, balanced or to their how they should be. Like let's say like Taskmaster would not beat Hulk in a fist fight. That's obviously right. But in this game they make it seem that way. And that's what I'm saying. I would say that should not happen. But it's 50-50. But you know what I'm saying? I feel like the game should have put more of an effort into realizing the strength and weakness of the enemies and the strength and weakness of the team, like your players. Like Thor is your strength. He's not going to be like your computer guy. You know what I'm saying? Now maybe he could probably like overpower the thing, and like blow it up or something like that. But like I just feel like it just didn't feel right. Far as like the characters and the feeling they had, they didn't feel right. Like let me explain. Like with Iron Man, you saw him flying a lot, and I don't feel like I'm Iron Man because yes, I explained like the map is not as big as it should, but I don't feel like I'm Iron Man with the creativity and like the tech and everything. Because Iron Man, you had a lot of the Tony had more of the choices of how the tech should be and what the tech is going to be, and a lot of the upgrades for his team. Like he had a big part in that. In the gear and the clothing, and I just feel like they didn't add that in here. And I understand they put more of the time into having it like Destiny, like where you have to grind and work to get the gear, which I am really against. I'm against games that have that kind of feature where it's more about gear and less about skill. I'm care for more of a skill based game. Like even if I'm level 1 and if I know how the controls are, I can beat the main boss at level 1 because it's just based off my skills and knowing the button and knowing my timing and prediction. I'm more about that. To me, playing games like Destiny where gear matters 100%, where if my gear is like 50 and the person I'm fighting is like the gear like 300, I'm not supposed to do any damage to him. That's just how games like that are set up, where gear matters more than anything. And me, I'm against that because that means you can't do anything. You're more or less helpless in the fight. Even if I know the button and I know strategy and movement, it doesn't do anything because I am lower than the enemy and I can't do more damage than them, and that's what I dislike. That's what I dislike in games. But Avengers tried to do that, which I don't have too much of a problem with. That makes this game seem a little bit longer, but I feel like they should have made more of a gear route and more of a timing and gear. A lot of games don't choose to pursue that route. They just have it where it's a skill point and you just put a point in it and boom, right? Some games like some Dragon Ball games have tried it where if you want to learn new skills or new techniques and stuff, you have to put in the work. So like where if I when I put a skill point to my upgrading my shield throw, instead they could have had it where I went into training and I improved my shield throw, and it got more and more powerful the more I trained. Some games I prefer more like that, but some games where it's just gear matters more is okay. It's not, but it's just not my cup of tea really. I'm not gonna lie. I like more skill, less about gear. But that's what I feel like was the problem with this game as far as the characters. It focused more on the gear and less about the character and, you know, the skill and the journey it took to get to where the character is. And that's why I feel like it just lacked that so much. And I wish they would have worked on that a lot more and really looked at the characters itself, like with Taskmaster and Abomination. Sorry, my fault. Abomination, like the fight between Hulk and Abomination felt good, but I feel like it could have been better. I feel like it should have been a lot more hits, a lot more less about, you know, like, oh, you got to do this and do that, you know, and Abominable almost like impossible to beat. I feel like it just didn't have that feeling. And a lot of characters didn't have that. Like as Thor, I don't feel like I'm, you know, wielding Mjolnir. I don't feel like I'm swinging a hammer that is all powerful, more or less. I know, you know, Mjolnir's not, you know, all that, but I'm saying is I don't feel like I'm Thor, you know, controlling lightning, or I'm controlling the sky and making lightning rain down and the clouds come up and I'm aiming Mjolnir and lightning comes and all that stuff. I don't feel that. I just don't. I don't feel like when I'm swinging my hammer to go up in the air, I don't feel that. As Captain America, I don't feel like I'm running and holding a shield and I'm throwing it with full power and strength and stuff and speed and I don't feel it, especially like it's Iron Man. I feel like Iron Man, a more popular character, did not feel satisfying at all. That's why I particularly didn't want to play him in this game, because he just didn't feel right. I feel like the old Iron Man games did better than this game could ever do with Iron Man. Like Iron Man back with like the first Iron Man game, like, you know, where, you know, it had like a story driven, like based off of the movie. I feel like I played more of an Iron Man setting than in this game. A game made years ago with terrible graphics and really a lot of bad issues. That game felt more like Iron Man than this game could ever feel like. And that's a problem. I feel like they should have worked on a lot more and did a lot more research on the characters and how they feel, especially like the villains. The villains just did not feel it, and like the choice of villains for the main villain, I just didn't feel like that was the play. Some things they should have worked on a lot more in this game, and it would have been a lot better. It would have felt more like an Avengers game. I'm playing Earth's mightiest heroes. I'm fighting these villains that I known and I seen from the movies, and you know, you have probably read from comics. I'm fighting them, and this is what they would typically do in a fight. That's what I'm saying. You know, it just doesn't feel that. In a Marvel game, the villains don't feel right and the heroes don't feel right as well. Like as Thor, I don't feel like I'm holding lightning, and as Iron Man, I don't feel like I'm charging up like each beam in my hand. Like I go like pew 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 pew. I don't feel that, and I don't feel like I'm throwing a hammer or, you know, choice beam and like, you know, like I just don't feel that. I don't feel that at all with any other characters, and I wish they would have worked on that or rethought or maybe put more of an effort into the characters to make them feel more like them. Like Hulk, I don't feel like Hulk. I don't feel Hulk's rage and anger. I don't feel like him hitting like the ground and punching and throwing rocks. I don't feel that. I just feel like maybe I'm just, you know, like I'm slapping my hand. And same thing with Iron Man. I feel like I'm shooting like blasters from Star Wars. I don't feel like I'm Iron Man, and that's what I'm talking about here. I don't feel the character. I don't feel the connection with them like I do when I watch the movie. And I feel like there's bad writing and bad just a lot of that as far as characters. But let's get into the next topic and the final topic at that. DLC was, I will be honest with you, is the last thing to save their game from being a 100% flop. But I'm not gonna lie, it seemed like they're gonna mess up with that as well. They teased like they were going to show Hawkeye was going to be added, but instead they added Hawkeye's daughter. Not the play. This right here really explains and shows this is going to be a flop. 100%. There's nothing to save this game. It's just over. It's not going to have a comeback. It's not going to be like Star Wars Battlefront, where it started off bad and it got better over time. You could tell this is just not it. When you're hearing your fan base and hearing how your game has lost 98% almost close to 100% of his player base, and you're adding a character that hasn't even been shown in the movie to fight yet, not even a character anyone's really looking for. You add that, as a playable character, not the father. You don't add Hawkeye, a character people like here and there, so like he's a so character. When he had the katana, that's when he became like oh yeah, we want to see Hawkeye more, when he had the katana on his back. But you add his daughter. Like, what? I don't understand it. You'll be better off adding Wanda right now instead of adding his, Hawkeye's daughter. Like, what? Like, you'd be better off adding Wanda or Doctor Strange at this point in time. But instead you add her. Like, man. This is where I say, they're not going to do right with this game. It's over. It's over. There's no chance. There's no coming back. It's just over. They have messed up with the combat. The characters don't feel like the characters. There's no really like crazy combos you can do with each character. Like with Black Widow and Captain America, you don't really feel it, because especially with them two being like really like melee oriented, they should really feel like like they're doing combos together or something like that, or like Thor and Iron Man, so you should really feel like that with them, like where Thor can just grab Iron Man's shoulder and like put some lightning on the hammer or whatever and power up Iron Man to like a crazy level with his repulsor like chest beam thing, like nothing like that. It had nothing like at all in the slightest like that. Especially they could have did so many things like with Thor and Cap, where Thor threw Captain America the shield. I mean the shield, the sword, the hammer. I'm sorry, but they threw the hammer and like they threw it back and forth on like on some crazy level or something like that, But no, did nothing like that at all. This is where this game has just dropped it. The last little bit they could have did to really help their game, they just didn't do it. By adding Hawkeye's daughter, you could have added Spider-Man. Even better, Black Panther. You could have added him. A really anticipated character, because a lot of people would really love to see him in the game. But you don't even think about that, right? No. And that's what I'm saying. This game is done. There's no coming back from it. It's too far gone. And it's really sad to see, because this is a game that has so much, so much to it. So much possibility. So much it could happen. So many things that could have made it better. But they made the story bad, the combat bad, the online experience bad. It's just all around bad. I don't even know if you could say it was a rushed game. I don't even think it was really rushed. I think it was just like, I don't think, like I said, I don't think they were in it. I just think they just looked at, oh yeah, we're making a Marvel game, that's pretty fun, And at the end of the day, they're like, yeah, we're making a Marvel game, Avengers, They're gonna, our first thought is the Avengers, and then we're gonna, turn it around and maybe add Fantastic Four or some X-Men characters or some, other like heroes from the Marvel universe, Spider-Man, Ant-Man, they didn't really think on that. And that's what I'm looking like. They weren't really invested into it. And they can argue and say they were, or they did, they thought it was like, yeah, but you can tell from looking at what they did, they were not invested into it. They did not care about the Marvel universe. They did not care about the MCU. They didn't really care about that. Yeah, you can tell. And I'm really sad to see that, because this is a game that I really was hyped for 2020. Besides Cyberpunk, I know, yeah, everyone's hyped about Cyberpunk, but that came out pretty bad too. But I feel like that was just a time issue there. But as far as Avengers, that was not a time issue. I feel like it just weren't passionate about issue. But this has been a video for me. Thank you so much for watching it. If you have, if you agree, please let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, or what you guys think and how you feel if you did play the Marvel Avengers game. If you agree, please let me know. If you disagree, I would love to know, because I was really passionate about this game. Even though I'm not really crazy Marvel fan, it's still like, it's a Marvel game. I would have loved to see where it would have went, and that's what I'm saying. So please let me know in the comments down below. I'd like to hear some discussions of what your guys' thoughts on it. Like this is sad, man. It's just really sad to me. I just feel that. But yeah, thank you guys and girls so much for watching. Hope you have an amazing day. See you. Peace out. Bye.